Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Cartooning. You all have been doing an outstanding job on your art. Let's take a look. Fantastic job, guys. Today we're doing a character direct from Jellystone Park, Yogi Bear. When I was growing up, some of my favorite characters to draw were Hanna-Barbera characters. Hanna-Barbera Studios was a very important part of Saturday mornings for decades. We've talked about many of these characters on the show so far, such as Fred Flintstone, George Jetson, and Papa Smurf. For today's show, we're going to learn about Yogi Bear. Created in 1958 by William Hanna, Joseph Barbera, and artist Ed Benedict, Yogi Bear made his first appearance as a supporting character in the Huckleberry Hound show. He quickly became a popular character and was given his own show in 1961. Yogi is a tall, anthropomorphic bear whose cartoons were set in the fictional Jellystone Park, a play on Yellowstone National Park. Along with his best friend Boo Boo, Yogi is usually busy trying to steal picnic baskets from unsuspecting campers, as well as irritating Park Ranger Smith. His look and personality was based on Ed Norton, a character from an extremely popular 1950s television show called The Honeymooners, played by comic actor Art Carney. The name Yogi Bear is a play on the name of celebrated baseball player Yogi Berra. An interesting fact about Yogi Bear's character design was the use of a collar. Many Hanna-Barbera animal characters were drawn with a collar and tie. Though it's funny to see an animal wearing a necktie, this was done primarily as a cost-saving measure. Since television animation needed to be inexpensive, having a character with a collar allowed the animators to draw and redraw just the head of the character without having to animate the entire body. This saved animators time and production studios thousands of dollars. Yogi Bear, as well as several other Hanna-Barbera characters, are prime examples of mid-century modern design. These characters were rendered with a heavy use of two-dimensional, flattened shapes with smooth, almost swooping curves that reflected the art, design, and look of the 1950s and 60s. Okay, today we're drawing Yogi Bear. Let's take a look at the reference photo. And like we said in the presentation, he's composed of a lot of flat shapes in these curvilinear forms. They're just very swoopy. It's very 50s and 60s. You can see just how there's very little detail, just all these shapes. This is actually going to make it a lot easier to draw. Also, his shoulders are basically his collar. Now remember from the presentation, the collar was used as a way of making the animation inexpensive. All they would need to do is animate the head. So that's why there's almost like a little disconnect between the head and the body. So let's get started with some basic shapes. Of course, you need your paper, you need your pencil, you need your eraser, and you're going to need your permanent marker when it comes to inking. Let's get started. All right, and he's got sort of like a diamond-shaped head that is just a little off kilter. So he's got this side of his face that goes up into the hat. In fact, the tip is going to become the hat later on. And then this is going to come down, so look, it's a little bit off, just a little bit. And then we're going to put this line right here, sort of like a little diagonal line right across. That's going to be the beginning of his collar. All right, so we can just extend this down. He's going to have one ear here, one ear here. It's okay if it's uneven. Actually, it's supposed to be uneven. And we're going to put a line right there. That's where his hat's going to start. It's going to come off the sides of the head. It's going to go up this way and down. So that's the brim of his hat. And we can clean this line right there so that we can see his face line goes underneath the brim of the hat on either side. And then it's going to go slightly up here and then swoop back down. And then a little bit is visible on this side. It might cut off part of the ear. And that's a good thing. We want the ear to look like it's actually part of the head or behind the hat. So that's a good thing. I'm going to put a little ear line in there. All right, let's do some face lines here and here. All right, we're going to come back to the face in a little bit, but let's worry about the rest of the construction of the body. 2 lines going down from that diagonal line, and then going in and creating his collar. We'll come back to the rest of the tie in a minute, but I want to get the body in. He's going to have his torso go down this way. So sort of like swoops down from the collar, and he's very bottom heavy, like his center of gravity is very low. Let's look at the reference photo. His hips are all the way down here. All right, so he's going to have a very long torso that's going to culminate in sort of like a pinch right here. So he's got his hips that go down. He's got his feet together, again, making it easy for us to draw. His feet are right next to each other. There's no differentiation between the 2 legs. So we can do 1 foot. Don't worry about being too detailed right now. In fact, Yogi's not really detailed at all, so we could just, almost like a little fish shape, right? All right, let's do the arms. 1 arm, again, tapering. It's thicker on this side than it is on this side, so the arm gets thinner as it goes down. It's got another one coming off this way. Don't worry about the hands just yet. In fact, I really like Yogi's hands. Look at how thin and tapered the fingers are. Let's just draw in the shape of the hand first. He's going to have a thumb going up this way, and then these will be his fingers, but we're not going to put the fingers in yet. Thumb going up, rest of the fingers going out this way. Okay, that's our basic body shape. Now we can start adding in all the little details. And when I say all the little details, again, Hanna-Barbera characters are very minimalist in their design. It's a very 50s and 60s thing. So it's a lot of geometric shapes just put together. So let's start with his face. We got most of it in with the hat and the head. We're going to put 1 eye here, and in fact, the eye is going to go into the brim of the hat. Take a look at the reference photo. Look at how that eye just goes right into the hat. It doesn't happen in real life. Put the other eye in on the other side of that vertical face line. And then the nose. The nose is going to go right here. It's got a big black bear nose. Okay. And now we're going to, much in the same way Fred Flintstone and George Jetson have a 5 o'clock shadow, he sort of like got the reverse. So he's got the lines for a 5 o'clock shadow, but instead of it being darker, it's lighter in here. So almost creating like an animal muzzle. So we can just, from the nose, in between the nose and the eye, just have a line going out this way, and then this goes, swoops down this way. Trying to keep those 50s and 60s angles. And on the other side. Okay. He's got a broad smile, so his smile lines are going to be right there. And this is going to come down. Again, try to keep those cool angles in there. They're very subtle angles, but they're there. And then that's the top lip. His bottom lip does this really cool thing. I love this. It swoops down on one side, and the bottom lip comes up towards the top lip, and then a line goes down that way, sort of like creating a chin. And that's it. So we're going to put a little tongue right there, and then a line for the inside of the mouth. This, we're going to just shade that in for now. We're going to be inking it in black later. A line for his animal muzzle, and he's got 3 little dots where I guess whiskers would be. Okay. Let's put in his pupils. So it's going to have one here
and one there. All right. We're going to put a couple of little ear lines in there. Also a couple of lines. Actually only has one eyebrow visible, and it's like it's floating right in the hat. The other one is tucked behind the hat. So we're going to put one floating above and one going down. Okay. Let's clean up that line a little bit so that we can add in his tie. Now his tie, in here, all you're going to do is put two diagonal lines going down, starting from halfway down these diagonal lines, so right here and right here. And that's the knot of his tie. And he has a very stylized tie, again, swooping lines here and here. And then he's got a bit of a tie going behind. All right, that's good. Let's work on his fingers. Remember, when I talk about hands and feet, especially when I'm talking about hands and feet in one of my classes, I always tell my students not to worry too much. If you are working really hard on making sure that your hands and feet look absolutely perfect, and you're erasing and you're trying again, you're erasing and you're trying again, it's going to start being not so fun. So I always tell my students, do the best you can with hands and feet. Getting hands and feet perfect comes with experience. So just keep working at it, and don't worry if it's not coming out exactly the way you want it. It will eventually. All right, so we got a thumb going up, and he's going to have one finger going out here, coming back in. He's actually got pretty long fingers. And then these two fingers are going to be fused together. So it's going to have one there, and then one there, coming back into the wrist. All right, and then a line right there for the suggestion of a palm. So as not to confuse you, you might want to just erase the lines you're not keeping, but we'll do that once we ink as well. Let's move on to the other one. It's going to have a thumb going up, and now all three of these fingers are fused. So it's going to have one. You're going to put a little line right there, and that's where the fingers are going to come from. So there, a line going down from this line, the horizontal line, another line going down. And there's your three fingers. 1, 2, and 3. This is sort of like creating a palm, or the top of the palm, and then that's the ball of the hand. Okay. And now, his feet, which is very easy. Watch this. You just put a line right there. There, we made 2 legs. And we put a little line right there for the bottom of his torso. And you can put little lines in his feet, sort of indicating that that's where the separation of the toes is. As I'm drawing this, I'm noticing that I think this finger is a little bit too long. I'm going to shorten it just a bit. And I'll shorten these as well, just a tiny bit. You'll notice things like that too once you begin drawing regularly. You'll know when something is off. All right, that looks better. And I think we got everything. He might have one little line on this side of his eye. Again, those are the little lines that you add to a finished drawing that add plasticity. And plasticity is little things that you can add to a drawing that make the character look a little bit more three-dimensional. You'll notice that Yogi doesn't have a lot of those lines because he's meant to look two-dimensional. All right, we're ready to start inking, so make sure you got your permanent markers ready. Again, be careful with permanent marker. This will stain, so keep it away from furniture, keep it away from your clothing. Try not to get it on your hands. It will come out of your hands eventually with a couple of washes, but it's going to be very difficult to get off furniture and clothing, so be careful. All right, and I'm going to be using a fine point, not the ultra fine point, because these characters, especially 50s and 60s Hanna-Barbera characters, had very thick outlining. Look at that line right there. So a fine point will do just fine. All right, let's start with his nose. While we're at it, go ahead and color his nose in. His nose is going to be black. All right, now I'm going to be doing the eye because, at least this eye, because it is above the hat. So I want to do everything that's in front of the hat first. So I'm going to do this eye and the pupil and the floating eyebrow. Then I'll go in and do the hat. All right, this eye is beneath everything, so we don't need to worry. All right, now we can do the little points of the hat and the ear that gets tucked behind, and that little ear line. Again, that's a plasticity line. All right, and we can do these parts of the head. His 5 o'clock shadow. That little plasticity line for his eye. And I forgot this eyebrow right there. That's the one that tucks under the hat. Smile lines. Top lip. Bottom lip. Tongue. Other side of the mouth. Inside of the mouth. You can color that in all black. All right? Let's do the collar. Okay. That's the knot of the tie. The first part of the tie and the second part. When you're doing a character like this, it's very important to keep your line as smooth as possible. Sometimes that's a struggle for me as well. That will come with confidence in your line. When you're confident in where your line is going, you'll be able to do it a little bit quicker. And that's the sort of confidence you need with these lines for these 50s and 60s Hanna-Barbera characters like Fred Flintstone or George Jetson. It's all in the line, so keep practicing. Let's do this arm. Oh, you'll notice that when I ink this, I'm not going to ink these two lines right here because I want the arms to look like they're connected to the body. So we're going to ink everything around. So we're going to do this one arm, going into the thumb, finger, 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 palm of the hand, into the body. Now, what we can do is we can just extend this torso line right about above the arm line, right about here. Again, just to emphasize that it's part of the body without inking the entire line. Let's do this arm. What makes it really easy about the legs for this particular drawing of Yogi Bear is that his feet are together, so all you really have to do to make the legs into two legs is just that middle line going down. And then he's going to have 1 foot here, 1 foot here. You don't have to draw in the individual toes. All you have to do is put some lines going in like that. All right, And there's our inked drawing. So what I'd like to do before we start coloring is what we have to do all the time is erase our original pencil lines. So let's do that. All right. Original pencil lines erased, and what happens? I notice something that I didn't ink. Happens a lot, actually. All we have to do is do the line of his muzzle. So right around here, go right up into the nose. And then you could actually put those little whisker dots in there. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. So we erased our original pencil lines, and now it's time to add some color. And I'm gonna use some colored pencils today. We're going to begin with the part that's going to take the longest to color, and that would be, he's only 3 colors. He's brown, he's green for the hat, and he's got sort of like a flesh tone color for his muzzle. He does have a tiny little bit of pink for the tongue, and then his collar and his eyes, of course, stay white. So let's get started with the brown. A little bit of flesh tone for his muzzle. Tiny bit of pink for his tongue. And then, of course, green for his tie. And green for his hat. Here you have Smarter Than the Average Bear, Yogi Bear.